In a world where Big Brother web shows dominate the interwebs, each show trying to bring you the next best thing, Nick and Rachel are here to entertain you with all things Big Brother, game talk, competition, backstabs, and the unexpected. Embark on this journey as we bring you the most unfiltered web show you've ever seen. We want the fans to voice their opinions. We want to hear what you have to say. Agree to disagree. We're the Unfiltered Feedsters, coming to you live Fridays at 8, so you better subscribe.
Hey yo, Rachality, Big Brother season's back. You gotta tell them what we've been up to.
Hey yo, I'm BB Nick Robobot. Let's tell them about our new web show, the Unfiltered Feedsters.
What you know about us? What you know about us? What you know about us? What you know? We're the Unfiltered Feedsters coming to you live Fridays at 8, so you better subscribe.
What you know about us? What you know about us? What you know about us? What you know? We're the Unfiltered Feedsters coming to you live Fridays at 8, so you better subscribe.
Hey guys, and welcome to the Unfiltered Feedsters presented by the Big Brother Insider. I'm your co-host Nick.
And I'm your co-host Rachel.
And welcome to the Unfiltered Feedsters, our first live show and many more to come. This is a platform where we're bringing you the latest Big Brother news, gossip, anything Big Brother. We want to talk to you, the fans. We want to know what you have to say, what you want to bring to the conversation, and just have a good time. This is an outlet for you guys, the fans who watch the feeds 24/7, who watch the shows. Your input is just as important as our input, and we're 100% unfiltered. We're going to say what we want to say, and that's how it's going to go.
We don't give a fuck, people.
We don't. And we want you just to know that we're not here to bash house guests. We're not here to talk ill of them. Yes, joking around, having fun, but there's not going to be any hate. Even in the comment sections, we're not going to deal with any hate. And if you don't like that, you can click the X, the red X, because we're not going to deal with it. But we're so excited to bring you the Unfiltered Feedsters. All right, let's get into what happened this week. First off, I would like to take this time. If you guys don't know what alliances are happening, who's working with who, what's going on, there's an alliance board. It's by 89 Razor Skate 20 on Twitter. The link is right down below. Check it out. And at least every night or every 2 nights, he's updating, constantly keeping everybody updated who's working together. So click that link down below and view it. Let's get into what happened in the house this week, Rachel. The question.
Okay, so Wednesday, the question really is what didn't happen in the house this week?
I honestly feel that they played the whole game of Big Brother in 1 week.
Yeah, I believe that too. But Wednesday on the episode, 8 house guests entered the house. And they were told that they were going to play the HOH, but one person had to sit out. Day volunteered to sit out. And in the second group of people who came in, Vanessa also volunteered to sit out of that group. And with that, the HOH who made them have-nots also decided to make them have-nots because they were safe. And the 2 people that they picked for safety were also have-nots, which was Austin and Liz. Nick and I have been talking about it when Liz and Julia switch out, if the other person that's not in the house at the time is also eating have-not food. I'm very curious to know that.
It's interesting. It really is to think that, are they sleeping in a nice hotel room or they're in the sequester house? What's
Right.
going on?
Yeah, it's very interesting. In the first HOH, it was James, Meg, Austin, Audrey, Clay, Shelly, and Jace. The last 4 remaining were Jace, Audrey, Shelly, and James, and they all fell off at one time. And so they had to go to instant replay to determine who was the last to touch the ground, which it showed that James was the last. So James was your first HOH. On Thursday night, we got to see Jason, Becky, Liz, Jeff, Steve, John, and Jackie compete in a UFO competition where they were pulling them off of this beam. And Jason held on very strong, and Jackie was about to go when she basically made a deal with Jason that Jason wouldn't nominate her. So she came off, and Jason was your second HOH. of the summer.
In that first HOH competition, when Austin fell off and he grabbed on to where they put the tomatoes when they catch them, and he ripped it right off the wall, I was just sitting there the whole time like, what just happened?
Yeah, on the feeds, Austin called that competition shitty. He called Big Brother's competition shitty.
Oh, Jace was literally next to him and saved himself like 3 times.
At
and
least.
Austin goes, I'm going down, grabs the thing and rips it right off the wall.
Apparently he was yelling timber.
So we're going to move into Sunday's episode where we have noms and Battle of the Block. So James nominated Jackie and Steve, and Jason nominated Becky and John. The Battle of the Block competition was like a skyscraping building competition. There was steel beams, it looked like, going across the backyard. There was one in the middle that constantly turned. The funny thing I was thinking about during the competition is that they had Becky on one team and they had Jackie on another. They had 2 stable women that were able to walk back and forth across the balance beam. And then you had the 2 guys. You had Steve and John that couldn't keep their balance during the whole competition. You had Steve crawling across the beams just to get his blocks over. And then John would like literally start walking, get there, start turning and fall right off. I do have to say that Becky and John definitely worked very well together. It's interesting watching them on the feeds because you see them getting closer, and I would like to see, that alliance really form and see how they work out this summer. And hopefully, they get some blood on their hands, get backstabbing happening. We have Becky and John, like I said, they had won. Jason was dethroned as head of household, and James was your final HOH with Jackie and Steve nominated. Next episode we had on Wednesday was the Veto. The players were James, Steve, Jackie, Jason, John, and Becky. The Veto competition was a word spelling game, and when initially they opened the back door, they entered in, I didn't really like how the competition looked. It looked a little cheap. Not coming at CBS or anything, but listen, there was literally nostrils all over the yard, and the inside of them had different shelvings and had the words on them, but it looked like they didn't have to search for anything really. It looked like it was edited to search, So so Steve had one with the most word points, and he spelled trombonist. All the house guests were like, I can't even spell that right now.
I don't even think that they knew what the word meant, honestly.
No, I don't think so. And I just thought I thought that Steve was going to spell a very long word, but it surprised me of what he spelled.
Yeah, it was kind of simple in a way, which was really weird because it's simple to him in his life, but it's not simple to everyday people that don't know about trombonist.
Exactly. And look at Jason. He spelled the word zones. Literally, he was in the zone. They went and they did the veto ceremony, and Steve did use the power veto on himself, which removed off the block, and James had backdoor Jace. Jace did not see this coming at all. He thought they were allies. He thought they were in this game to win. They thought they had each other's backs. It just seems like there was a little chirping in somebody's ear going on, and we're going to get to that in a little bit.
So on Thursday's episode, we had the eviction and then the next HOH competition. And in the eviction, before the eviction started, they showed Jace trying to go around to everyone and campaign and try to get his point across on how he wasn't really the target or whatever he was even attempting to do. I don't know. The way they edited it didn't make sense as to what was happening on the feeds, because Jace and Audrey were working together to try to save Jace with James. And so they didn't actually show that on the show. So it made it a little confusing, but nonetheless, Jace was evicted by a vote of 12-1, with Audrey throwing him some type of vote that I'm sure she was going to try to use to her advantage. But Jace was evicted, and during the live eviction ceremony, they cut to commercial, and when they come back, Julia's in the DR, which is Liz's twin. And Liz goes in the DR. They both cast their vote together, and Julia walks out of the DR. So they made their switch on live television, which was crazy and very gutsy.
Very risky, very risky.
Yes, very risky. And while Jace was talking to Julie, he correctly guessed who threw him the vote, which was Audrey. And in the goodbye messages, Julia and Liz taped a goodbye message together. And Jace was completely shocked. He had no idea. And him and Liz were really, really close. So it's really funny to like see his reaction. I would love to see that hundreds of times. It was so funny.
His reaction was definitely genuine. Like you
Oh,
could,
yeah, for sure.
and the fact that nobody else is realizing it in the house. I mean, there's some speculation that something with the twins going on. But when you honestly, if you're looking at Liz, and Julia, you can tell that there is a significant difference between them when you look at them in like the nose area,
right,
cheek area. You can definitely tell. But I guess day-to-day house guests constantly scheming, planning, they're not paying attention to their facial features as we the feeders are, because we're constantly like, this one's here.
Well, and we know that the twin twist is happening. They don't know that. If they knew, I'm sure they would be looking.
Exactly.
But the HOH was then played, and it was divided into 2 different competitions. It was the same comp, but just since they had to name 2 HOHs, they had to do 2 separate comps. And Becky won the first comp, and Shelly won the second comp. Those are 2 HOHs that we have no clue what they're going to do. And Shelly, I heard, didn't even want to win HOH, her or Clay. So the fact that she did win is very weird to me. And Kathy Griffith came on the show and gave us a new twist. And
BB Takeover.
Yes, the BB Takeover twist. And she's going to have a phone there's going to be a phone in the house. And whoever picks up the 7th phone call into the house, they get to choose 3 people that will not vote at this week's eviction, which could be huge.
This could change the game.
Yes, it could change who's going home.
It definitely could, because when you're sitting there and you have somebody that answers this phone, they have their targets that are already out there, and they're thinking, hey, if we eliminate these 3 people, our side of the house has more votes.
Exactly.
So we can totally screw them and have the house our way.
Exactly.
It's just very interesting how it was a puzzle competition for HOH, and you had Becky and Shelly both win. I thought maybe Steve would have had the puzzle together more.
Right.
And it was just absolutely crazy with the whole, like, going into the live feeds more. We'll talk about like the whole Audrey week. It was literally the week about Audrey, and seeing Audrey being so not focused and just very out of sorts. She could not even get one piece on the board.
That's what happens when you stay in bed for multiple days in a row.
I mean, let's be honest.
That's what happens.
She sent her peasants for her, though. I don't know why they didn't finish the board for her.
Right, that is true. But talking about the live feeds this week, it was very, very crazy. The first part of the live feeds, there was a lot of Audrey and James and like this big 8-person alliance that had like Meg and Jason and Day and Clay in it. Like, that was just this half of the house alliance, which is the same thing they tried last year and obviously didn't work. This was even worse than the Bomb Squad. Believe it or not, that is possible. I don't even think this alliance had a name to it. It literally crumbled before they could even form a name.
It was called the 8 people who are working together.
Exactly, pretty much. So they were all working together and everything was going smooth until one night. I don't even remember what night it was because every day blends them together watching the live feeds. But one night, Audrey went up to James and Jason in the HOH room, and she was just like, I think Vanessa's getting the whole other side of the house and they're going to flip the votes, and Vanessa's this huge mastermind. And at this time, Vanessa was laying really low. Vanessa had not been doing anything on the feeds except crying and eating slop and sleeping in the have-not room. That's all she had been doing. And Audrey just played up that she's this big mastermind and that she's doing everything. And so they were like counting out the alliances with Skittles. I mean, it went far. And then Audrey went and got Shelly out of bed first and brought Shelly upstairs and was telling Shelly that they wanted her to be a part of the alliance so they could have numbers and all this. And then she went and got Jeff out of bed at like 5 a.m. We're watching this on the feed. She goes and gets Jeff, and Jeff tells her, no, I'm not going up there. It's 5 a.m. and I'm trying to sleep. Granted, he was in bed talking with Meg, but he did not want to go up there. And she told him, she said, if you do not come up here, you're going on the block and being backdoored.
My whole thing, who is she to throw threats around when she's not even in power?
Exactly.
And why is she acting so sketch?
I honestly have no idea with her.
I'm mind blown because she ran around this house all week acting like she had power, her psychic abilities.
Oh gosh, do we even have to get into that?
Telling people like that she's having these dreams and this is happening, who's backstabbing who. And she has the audacity to wake these house guests up at like what, 3, 5 in the morning?
It was 5 in the morning.
5 in the morning to pull them upstairs and talk about that she's feeling very, paranoid. She thinks things are happening, people working behind her. My whole thing is the whole time you're talking to everybody, you're mingling with everyone, and you're swapping stories and trying to get everybody to, work against each other.
Literally, she was paranoid that everyone was doing this to her, and honestly, she was doing it to everyone.
Nobody questioned her.
Nope, not until this happened.
Exactly. And when people would say, we want, who you heard that from.
Exactly.
In the words of Miss Cleo, get us the receipts. Literally.
Yes.
No, everybody was like, Austin questioned her a lot. Well, then bring this person in. Jace questioned, then bring this person in. Audrey would sit back like, I don't want to bring these people in because, I need to protect them. What I don't understand. What is all this?
She was very, very sketch. But after she brought Jeff upstairs, she basically sat him down in the hot seat and said, I think that your fight with Austin was fake. And I think that you and Austin are working together in a room with Shelly, Jason, Day. I think Meg was up there at the time. I think she pulled Meg up there later or something. I'm not really sure. But it was basically the whole alliance. And she's like, I think your fight with Austin was fake. I think you're working with Austin. And he's like, are you kidding me right now? And after that whole thing happened, they had went downstairs. Jeff and Jason did. They went outside to smoke a cigarette. And they both looked at each other and said, she's got to go. She is the root of all the drama in the house.
Definitely.
If it wasn't her, like starting the drama, it was her telling someone that this person said this, and then it just started from there.
She can't shut her mouth more than 5 seconds. She sits there, talks to Shelly. She'll get confirmation that her and Shelly and Clay are good. Then she'll get paranoid, run to Clay and be like, Shelly just told me this. Why aren't you with us? And Clay's looking at her like, we're with you. What is your deal? It's just, I just don't understand why she was so paranoid all week. And then getting into a whole argument that brought her crashing down between Vanessa and Day.
Yep.
Absolutely. Rachel, go ahead. Because
well, first, before that even happened, whenever Jeff and James or Jason were outside talking, some more house guests started coming out and they were talking about it, and everyone started realizing what was going on. Everyone was realizing it. And then I think I want to say like 2 nights after that happened, there was another argument in the backyard or something where everyone was out there and Audrey was in bed, and she sent Shelly outside to see if Jace was outside with everyone else, mainly Day and Jason. And she went out there and everyone just started hitting her. They were like, look, Audrey's lying about this, 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 and this. And then Shelly started comparing stories and she was like, oh my gosh, y'all are not lying to me. And Shelly had so much information and she gave out so much information. And
not to cut you off, but that's the funny thing. I remember you and I talking about this specifically, how we were watching the feeds and Shelly felt like nobody was coming to tell her everything. She was part of this alliance and everybody's, filling her in here and there. Or when she would ask a question, then she wouldn't understand everything. And then Shelly just turns around out of nowhere and starts going, this is her, this. I sat back and I'm like, who talked to Shelly?
Yeah, like how did she get all this information out of nowhere?
Exactly.
It was some of the craziest stuff. Like something about Audrey told Day that she's a psychic or something. I don't even know what that was about. But after that whole thing happened was when Audrey started staying in bed for multiple days. And then there was this one blow up where Day and Audrey were in the have not room talking. Vanessa walks in and Vanessa goes, "Good, while I've got you both here, I want to ask you this." So Vanessa asked her something about some lie that Audrey had told Vanessa Day said. Well, when that happened, Day and Audrey kept lying to Day's face, saying, "No, you said it." Day was like, "Okay, game on." And she walked out. And a few minutes later, she comes back in. They talk some more. Audrey's still not budging. Audrey's still saying that it was Day that said it. And Day goes in the house and gets every person in their alliance that was upstairs when Audrey was freaking out about Vanessa.
That was when she went out again and she goes, "Let's rally the troops."
Yeah, she said, "Let's rally the troops." She went and got Meg, Jeff, Clay, Shelly, James, everyone that was in that alliance. She went and got. And she was like, basically made them all sit there and tell Vanessa that it was Audrey that was going crazy. And Audrey was still denying it. And Jason was like, "No, I blah, 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 went up there and said this to your face." And Vanessa was like, "Okay, then fuck you. You're lying." And Audrey's like, "Well, I feel cornered. It's 8 people against 1.
Wait, let me use what she said. There's nobody here to validate the bullshit that's coming out of my mouth. Exactly. Bullshit is coming out of your mouth. If you would have kept your mouth quiet and you would have continued to doing what you were doing, you would have and still could, depending on how the week goes, gotten far in the game."
Oh, yeah, no doubt. If she would have just laid low and kind of been like under the radar of most people, she would have done fine. Everyone in that house, well, not everyone, a lot of people have said they don't want to vote out the person with a story like she has, which is understandable because people like that, if they go after her, they can be looked at by America as very bad people. And I really hope that America does not look at anybody who targets her in that light, because that is not why they're targeting her.
It is really sad to see that there is a preconceived concept with the American public that if somebody does one action, it offends another.
Right.
And I understand that this is a heavy subject to touch on, but we're also looking at the concept as this is a game of Big Brother. People are targeting each other. People are getting each other out. And I think that's totally fine. As long as you're not bringing it to a personal level, as in racism or talking about somebody's sexual orientation, I just need, I feel like America needs to be like, okay, I respect the game moves that are being made. She's a big player in this game. She's not stupid. And she can take this game far. But her consequences right now are shown. I mean, it looks like she might be going out the door.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, I don't want her to go out because of anything to do with life. I just want her to go out because she has been one of the not really dirtiest game players, but she's been playing the whole house against each other.
One of the most strategic game players.
Yes, but not in one of the ways that I can respect.
Exactly.
But she, there's one thing that I do want to put out there because I doubt CBS is going to air it, but at one point in time, Becky was talking to, I guess, a group of people that Audrey and Day happened to be in that group of people with, and Becky was telling them that her mom and dad refused to sign the CBS consent form because they didn't want to be edited wrong. They saw how things were edited in BB17, and they didn't want to be edited that way. And Audrey told Austin at one point when she was laying in bed and people were coming to her, and she told Austin that Day said Becky is racist. And when that got back to Jason went and pulled Becky aside one morning when they were waking the house guests up on the feeds where the fish were on the screen and the feeds were cut. And he told her, he said, "Look, this is happening." And that night we were on the feeds. Becky had a 15-minute conversation with a couple of people about how that is not what happened. Becky is not racist. And Becky knows that Audrey started that. So I really hope that people don't look at Becky as a racist. I don't think they will, because I doubt CBS will even touch on it. But Becky said that Audrey took it somewhere that it did not need to be taken. That could ruin her outside of the game of Big Brother.
Exactly.
And I completely agree.
That was really hit. That was really hit below the belt.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Anybody. And Becky hasn't done anything to anybody in this game. If you don't watch the live feeds, which you should, link down below by feeds. If you don't watch the feeds, sometimes you don't see certain house guests during the week. They mainly focus on who's been more active and whatnot. We haven't seen Becky on the feeds at all. Since last night she won HOH, you see Becky. And you see more of a player she is. They start to evolve more and you get to more of sense. Becky, to me, doesn't come off like that. She seems like a love. She seems like a really genuine person.
Becky has had multiple conversations where she says that she dates black guys. Like, how are you going to call someone racist when they have been in multiple relationships with black guys? I've yet to figure that one out.
And the fact that Audrey had spread a racist rumor that didn't even happen, and reflecting on herself as in a transgender community, what if somebody bashed her on the show for that? You know what I mean? Like, if you take yourself out of somebody else's shoes and you put yourself in them, how does that make you feel? And I feel that's also a key concept in the game, is putting yourself in somebody else's shoes and see how they're going to react.
Exactly.
It's a key point in the game, because you need to know people's initial reactions before you make a game move.
Yep.
And I feel like that was the wrong game move, even if she wanted to just talk shit on her for no apparent reason.
Yeah, for what reason, I've yet to figure that out. But who really knows with that? I don't want Becky to come off as a racist, because she's clearly not. And I also don't want Audrey, or I don't want people to hate on Audrey because of her story.
Exactly.
That's just the things I wanted to put out there.
And also, it's not a bash Audrey session. It's literally calling her out on what she did this week. Honestly, I feel like if she would have tried to keep her mouth a little more quiet, I think this would have been a phenomenal game move in the first week, having everybody against each other.
I completely agree. But then after Day and Jason confronted her in the Have Not room with the whole alliance and Vanessa there, she got in bed and she stayed in bed. Shelly brought her food to bed. Steve came by and checked on her. Meg tried to come by and check on her, but Meg wanted to talk to her on a personal level, and Audrey refused to talk to Meg on a personal level. She refused to talk to anyone on a personal level. When people come to talk to her, it was all game. She would sit up in bed and talk game with you for 2 hours, but if you dare talk about her personal life, it was out the window.
And every time she sat up and she was saying, I don't really feel like talking game, she would go, so what are Clay and Shelly talking about? Who are this? Who's that?
What is this person doing?
Exactly. Yeah. And she would sit up, be all like excited, prim and proper, ready to go. And then after like somebody would ask her a question, she would just like,
or cry, start crying, or say, poor me, I've just been laying in this bed, blah, 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 blah. And she would have like Steve go out and get people to come talk to her in bed. And I mean, it was unreal, the amount of stuff she was doing.
Exactly. And the fact that we had Jace this entire time on the block being backdoored, and him trying to constantly save himself and just doing what he could, the fact that he was able to still, put on a smile and do things, as in when they had the prom, which they'll probably air like on a Sunday or something, not saying that it will be, but just saying it might be. Jace attended the BB prom that they had. Audrey laid in bed. As angry as Jace was with the house guests, he participated and played along.
He enjoyed that last moment as a whole BB17 house.
Exactly. And I think there's a time where you can separate game and real life and having fun, because for the first time in a long time, and giving mad credit to Rachel, she's been live tweeting from at the Unfiltered Feeds constantly. She's been like, I don't even know. I can't even tell you the hours she's put in. We went from having like 1,500
4,000 tweets.
4,000 tweets, something like that, all the way up to almost 10K.
Yeah.
In less than like in a week, actually.
Yeah.
So I have to give Rachel mad props for that. I just want to give you a shout out and say I appreciate everything that you do.
You caught me off guard there. I didn't see that one coming.
I just had to say it because, it's just watching the live feeds and seeing everything happen. We were
Yeah,
able
this
to
week
sit
has been
there.
very crazy.
It's been very crazy, and we were able to sit there watching the BB prom. Yeah, we would, tweet out a little bit here and there, but that was our resting time to say, hey, I'm going to sit back and enjoy the feeds because no game talk is happening, and they're just having fun.
Exactly.
And it allowed us to have more fun, even though we love live tweeting and it's fun to us. But sometimes it's nice to sit back and enjoy what's going on.
That is for sure. But with the whole Jace situation, like, it was so funny because Audrey was laying in bed and crying, poor me, poor me. You would have thought Audrey was on the block and going home. And then Audrey and Jace got into it out in the backyard, and Audrey, like, attacked him. Not really attacked him, but she was like, you need to look in the mirror. You need to look at yourself. And basically, like, it wasn't any game talk or game anything. Exactly. For what reason? Like, it was ridiculous. And then
How many people told her, don't do it, there's no need for it? And she said,
Exactly.
I feel that I need to do this.
Exactly. And for what reason she felt like she needed to do that, I don't know. But while she was in bed, James came to talk to her because James got tired of the rumors and everything about her talking game, but she was laying in bed. And Audrey was like, I felt like I just needed to tell Jace. And James is like, okay. And then I want you to tell every single person that's going out that door that they're about to be leaving. You don't tell people they're about to go.
Or how about when she turns around and says, people need to, be nice to me because they don't know I could win HOH next week, and I'm gonna remember who is being genuine to me, and they're not my targets. Basically threatening the whole house, saying if you're not being nice to me and you don't comfort me, you're going on the block. Like, 1, fuck you. 2, you have no power. And 3, continue to sit in bed because it's only hurting your game.
Exactly. It definitely showed whenever they had the prom on Wednesday about how people just can't separate gameplay from having fun, because honestly, the feed started Wednesday. What over here was Friday morning on the East Coast, and from Friday morning at midnight until Wednesday night at midnight when the have-nots got off their food or got off the have-not thing, it was literally nothing but game talk for that whole entire time. At one point, I just started running from game talk. When I saw game talk on the camera, I went to the next one, because sometimes I love game talk, but sometimes I just need like fun times on the feeds and like see the house guests interact with each other. So the whole prom situation was really like a fun time to see there and watch. And I commend Jay so much for getting out of bed and saying his little rap and saying nice things about everyone when he did not have to do that at all. And the fact that Audrey just laid in bed and listened to it, literally, it kind of irks my nerves a little bit, because not that I take it personally, but it's just really weird. I don't understand why she would do that.
I don't know either. If it was like strategic for people to feel bad for her, I don't think anybody did. They continued their night.
No, because they saw right through her bullshit.
Exactly, and had fun. Another thing I want to talk about and touch on was Jace in the cabana room talking with Steve. Very aggressively, vulgar, basically threatening in a sense, calling him, a pussy.
That made me sick to my stomach.
Telling him that America thinks he's a pussy. And Steve is just sitting there saying, okay. I literally took myself back. I'm like, if Jace is using this as a strategic game point to scare him into trying to keep him, we've seen it happen on the feeds before.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
There's a certain extent. I mean, for me, I feel like there's a certain extent you go for. Steve doesn't do anything to anybody. Yes, house guests feel like he's a rat because he's constantly opening doors, popping in, seeing who's doing this, and running back. It's like so-called people, they say, like Audrey or whatever. But you don't sit there and, basically delude a person and make them feel like a piece of shit.
Exactly.
Even though they're saying, oh, I'm going to work with you now. No, they're not going to. They're going to send your ass out the door because Steve didn't vote for you, right? Yeah, no, he didn't. So
Definitely
you have to vote from Audrey that she tried to flip the house with or something. Gives a fuck.
Right. I'm so disgusted. Whenever I was watching that, I almost got tears in my eyes because it was like, Steve, out of all people, Steve has done nothing to you. And he literally sat there and said that everyone joked on Steve when he left the room, calling him names, calling him four-eyed. I'm like, really? What are we? Are we in 5th grade? Are we in elementary school?
I said the same thing. We sat there and Rachel and I were both watching the feeds together. We had each other on FaceTime and we're both sitting there like, our hearts literally were broken to hear the way he was talking. Just in a sense, if you guys like go over to @Unfiltered Feeds, you'll see we have a video up of him, you know, disrespecting the shit out of Steve. I mean, yeah, later on, I guess they squared stuff up, but to me, if I was in the game and you did that to me, one, I wouldn't stand for it. Two, your ass is going out the door anyway, so keep talking. And I'm not going to back down from you. I'm not going to make a scene to where I will be evicted next, but people will know what kind of person you are, what kind of character you are, and how you aggressively attack people. That alone like takes you out of the game.
Exactly.
Yes, it was strategy. It was strategy. And I will call it 100%. It was strategy. Did it work? No. Was it aggressive and upsetting to the fans? Yes. But again, that's Big Brother. That's strategies.
Yeah.
You got to take it or leave it as it is.
Moving on from that sad situation, should we go into the funny highlights now?
Listen, this week has been filled with hysterical moments, and every time I turn around, I'm constantly laughing. Rachel is laughing. We'll be on 2 different feeds. I'm like, what just happened? She's like, Jason just did this, blah, 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 blah. Dave just did that. And I'm like, okay, let me go back 10 seconds. Let me go back and watch. We put together a little like clip reel for you guys to view some of the funniest moments that happened this week, in our opinion. Every week it's going to be a segment to see, you know, what happened in the house. This week we're going to solely focus on Jason and Jace.
I do believe this is Jason. It was like, I think this was like 5 o'clock in the morning. Like, it was very early in the morning.
I think it was. So, further ado,
let's do it.
Where did you find her? Where did you find her? Sleeping all day. I'm sleeping all day tomorrow. Strike 3. She's out of here. She's done. Don't know where she's going. You're serious? The minute we get in bed, I have to go to the bathroom. Dead ass.
I have to show Jason one more time leaping out.
Oh, that was so funny.
Impersonating Audrey. All right, let's take it from here.
The minute we get in bed, I have to go to the bathroom. Dead ass.
That was so freaking hilarious. The first video was of Jason talking about Audrey being CBS's mole, because whenever they were outside discussing everything, Shelly mentioned that Audrey supposedly had a dream that the comp was built a certain way, and the comp was built that way. And so Shelly said, she's like, I believe the only way she would have known that is if she got that information from CBS. So that they all started thinking that CBS has been, or not really CBS, but Big Brother and production have been telling her certain things about the comps. And Jason said that your mole, or no, what did he say? Your rat is done or something like that.
The mole is
so
done,
funny.
Dead.
Yeah, the mole is done. She's dead.
And then we had Jace was going outside, and it was very late night. He's walking, and then he just out of nowhere just trips over a chair that was like literally like pushed in. He could have went around, not paying attention. Bam, trips. I felt like I was the only one that caught that, and I was like, Rachel, did you just see Jace trip? She's like, what? Go back.
I completely missed that one.
Hysterically laughing. And final, and tell them about that.
Okay, so Jason's leap, this was when Audrey had been staying in bed, and Jason and Meg, they've been sleeping together in this like kind of like a pull-out bed. And when they went and got in bed, Audrey literally jumped out of bed and leaped over Shelly's side of the bed and jumped onto the ground and ran. I'm assuming, I think she went to the bathroom or something like that.
Yeah, she said she was going to the bathroom. What her, in quotes, she was really doing was going to see what they were doing on what I think Shelly and Clay were doing outside. So she literally jolts out of bed, does a flying leap, runs into the bathroom. I followed her cam. She runs into the bathroom, stops right at the bathroom, looks, and slowly makes her way to the outside.
It was so funny.
Watch Jason reenact that.
That was so funny, dude. I cannot explain how funny that was.
Absolutely.
So now for the backstab of the week. Who are you giving your backstab of the week to?
Honestly, I said this earlier. I'm going to give my backstab to, you know what, Rachel, you go with yours first.
Okay.
I think mine is a little bit more funny.
My backstab of the week is James to Jace. James, Jace, Audrey, and Austin had formed this alliance. I think they called it Cloud Town, I want to say. And they had formed this alliance. They were supposedly working together, and then James had this plan the whole entire time to put Jace on the block. So I think that would be considered my backstab of the week.
All right, my backstab of the week is our lovely Audrey. She has gone down, fucked up her game so much, she literally stabbed herself multiple times with 15 other house guests. She literally threw her knives in the air and said, ooh, 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 ooh.
Stabbed herself in the back.
Literally, she was like, oh, let me get that. Literally. I really don't know what this girl was thinking.
Oh,
and
that was so funny.
let's say if she does, in quotes, stay this week, maybe she'll try to pick up a better game and not be so paranoid. I would really like to see that because I was excited for her to come in, be the head bitch in charge, and, fuck shit up.
Yep, I said that in my first impressions video, which y'all can check out on this YouTube page. I said that I honestly did think that, I really liked her, but I wholeheartedly believed that she was going to go in playing too hard, too fast. Yep. And when the feeds cut on day 7, it was all hands on deck. She was already going at it on day 7.
Her hands in every cookie jar.
And then day 4, no, it was day 12 or 13, her game got blew up. She played everybody for 13 days, and then it was over with. And
then you had Day and Jason saying that we had her figured out since day 2, and they just really didn't know, I guess, how to go about it.
Oh, yeah. They didn't know who they could trust.
Exactly. More so, I should have said.
They didn't know who they could trust to tell this to. But then once the whole Vanessa thing blew up, everybody knew they could not, not necessarily trust Audrey, but they could not team up with her, and she had to go.
I mean, is she still secretly holding sources?
I really have no idea what's going on.
Oh, yeah. Production. I forgot. What was I thinking?
Oh, yeah. Go figure.
Right?
Really go figure. But I also want to thank all the fans just randomly. I just want to say this. When we started this Twitter page, we had just under 1,500 followers this summer, and we've now gone way over 2,000, and I'm so excited. Thanks to everyone who followed us, retweets us, mentions us, anything. And every week we're going to have a super fan of the week. And we have our super fan of the week picked out. If it's not you, don't worry. You could be super fan of the week next week. So always watch and stay tuned.
To show you guys our super fan of the week, we have at Jen Ellen's BB. She has been constantly tweeting us, keeping up with us, and she's just been, all around thinking
one of our consistent followers in our mentions and retweets and favorites.
Exactly. And we can't thank like Rachel said, we can't thank everybody enough, interacting with us. This is what we love to do. This is what it's all about. And I feel like there's not that many, platforms out there that fans get to interact. And it's a really great experience for us, because if Rachel's live tweeting, I'm handling conversations, in the mentions, or if I'm live tweeting, Rachel's handling the mentions, and, just thanking everybody. We pretty much, we do favorite everybody, and we try to write back to everybody, and I think we really do.
Also, I want to mention that we were going to try to sign our tweets so you would know who we were talking to, but we were trying to get them out so fast that we really couldn't take the time to sign our tweets. So you never know who you're really talking to, which is a bad thing, but we try to say who is actually conversating.
Exactly. And with us responding back to you guys, we really appreciate everything you guys do for us, even if it's just retweeting or favoriting. We just enjoy this communication we have back and forth, and I'm really excited for this new platform and just more interactions.
And we love to hear your guys' opinions. We love to.
Don't ever feel like your opinion doesn't matter, or if it gets shut down, which it never gets shut down with us. We want to hear what you have to say. If you think that Shelly's a two-timing, backstabbing, whatever, let us know.
Let us know. We want to know.
Tell us why. leave comments on this video. Let us know, you know.
Let us know who your favorites are.
let us
We
know
love
who your
to
favorites
hear your
are.
favorites.
Definitely let us know who your favorites are. Rachel, I want to ask you, who are your favorite house guests so far? If you had to pick like a top 4.
Well, my top 2 favorites are in my header on Twitter at @Rachality_, and that would be Day and Jason.
Yep.
I love them. They are so funny when they're together. Jason literally has me rolling off my couch every time he's on my feeds. I freaking love him. He is hilarious. And Day is just, she does not deal with anything. She is just whatever. Like, she's just so freaking funny to me. My third and fourth one, that's kind of hard to say. I'd probably say like James and Meg. They're also really funny. James kind of gets a little aggravating when him and Jeff are together because they're always, I don't know, kind of like trying to team up on Meg. It's really weird.
Like
But
weird,
I know it's just all funny games in the Big Brother house.
Even with Liz, it's like weird sexual innuendos, and they think it's funny. I mean,
Yeah,
sometimes, like,
it's
when
really
they're all
weird sometimes.
together, it is kind of funny, but at the same time, it's like, all right, next thing, you know?
Oh, and I want to throw this out there. Steve is very awkwardly funny sometimes with the sexual innuendos. It is so funny.
You have to watch out for him because he's really good sometimes.
Yes, he got James the other night when they were getting ready for their prom. Steve and Jackie had went together, and James and Meg were going together. Well, Meg had this black top and a blue skirt. So James wore a blue button-up shirt with black pants. And they had James had said something to Steve, and Steve was like, well, are you going to get dressed? Basically saying you're not dressed yet because you're not dressed nicely.
Yep.
It was very funny, and
I think
everybody was just like started laughing.
He had like a blue V-neck or something like that.
Yeah, it was a button-up shirt.
Yeah, there you go. And I was like, so you guys are matching? What's going on there?
It was actually really cute. The prom was a very fun time. I do recommend going back and watching that because you kind of see how all the house guests kind of go together.
Yep, I really
They played
appreciate it.
games because I think the prom was at like 10 o'clock and the have-nots didn't get off until midnight. So they did the prom, they did the blue carpet, they did the prom for about an hour or so, and then when they finished, they had an hour left. So they sat around playing Hey, Let's Play Zoo and a couple other games that was really fun.
Which I'm playing this weekend for 4th of July.
Yes, if you did not watch that, you have to go. You have to watch them. It is very funny to watch. It is so funny.
Rachel, I have to say it has come to the end of our time here for our first episode.
I do want to give a shout out to my brother Tony, whose birthday is today.
Happy birthday, Tony!
He turns 30. Happy birthday, Tony. And I also want to give a shout out to Nick's mom, Mama Ro. I know you're watching.
Hi, Ro.
And I just want to say thanks for all the support because you're the one that made this show work pretty much. Thanks for all the support, and thank all the fans for everything that you've done. All the retweets, all the mentions, all the favorites, everything. It's been awesome talking with you guys, and I really hope to continue doing that.
Exactly. We're having a blast, and it's only the first week. I feel like things are only going to get crazier from here on out, and we're going to bring you all the information. Make sure you follow us at Unfiltered Feeds because we're constantly, like, 24/7 updating. When you go through your timeline on your Twitter, it's us. Get used to us, our faces, because we're going to be here all summer long. We're never going to get evicted. And then we'll be back next year, and the next year, and then...
You're going to try to evict us, but it's not going to work.
It's not going to work, because we'll just come back into your mentions as, we're back, bitches!
Hashtag thanks, Rachel Riley.
Seriously. Just to let you guys know, we are on Twitter, we are at Unfiltered Feeds, and also on Instagram at Unfiltered Feeds. Also, head to the bbinsider.com where you can find everything Big Brother, spoilers, rumors, everything. It's just there. It's all there. Go there. It's a good site. Makes you feel, a little closer to us. We have our own tab on there so you can find a little bit more about us. And all our links and stuff are there for the shows.
We're also on Facebook, too.
Also, yeah, we're on Facebook at Unfiltered Feeds as well. Everything is down there in the description, so head down there, click our links, follow all our social medias, make sure to subscribe wherever that freaking button is. Somewhere, freaking pesky button. And just make sure to follow all of our social medias. And again, we really appreciate everything, and we hope to see you next week. Don't forget, we're the Unfiltered Feedsters coming to you live.
Fridays at 8, so you better subscribe.
Bam!
See y'all guys later.
See you guys. Bye.